And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the late night podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 42, I believe. Yes, we're on episode 42. There's no monologue. So let's get right to the topics. This is kind of on topic. I just came. I think just come. It was like 5 hours ago. I saw a matinee showing of the movie Saturday Night, which is the Saturday Night Live biographical comedy drama film directed by Jason Reitman. I'm on the Wikipedia page. I enjoyed my time with it. It was very funny. They tried to. This isn't constitutional, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but they definitely did their best to make it as tight and time-consuming as possible. I enjoyed it to make you feel like there was tension under there. So, yeah, and then also it's really interesting. Today's October the 11th. The movie starts because the show is 50 years old on October 11th, and I went, "Oh my God." When it pops up, it says October 11th. I went, oh, that's today. All right, let's get on with the whatever the show is with. This week was huge. It was huge for politics and late night. Kamala Harris, Kamala. We know what I'm saying. I'm not one of those alt-right people making bad jokes. Kamala Harris appeared on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And might I say, a fine episode. It's for there's shows that are on late night on SNL. There are shows when they're with a live audience. There are shows when there's obviously the audience is there for. If it's SNL, they're obviously there for Justin Bieber, who's hosting and doing the music. They're obviously there just for Justin Bieber. So they're not going to necessarily enjoy the comedy stylings of the SNL writers or the cast. They know SNL, but they're just there for Justin Bieber. They're there for tomorrow night, Ariana Grande is hosting. So they're there for Ariana Grande. So when I say this is not an insult to Colbert, because I'll talk about this when I get to Seth Meyers as well, and even Jimmy Fallon. The monologue, while it did have some good jokes in there, the monologue suffered for in the Kamala Harris episode of The Late Show, and it wasn't for the lack of trying. Obviously, these hosts are going to go out there, they're going to do their best. And in Colbert's case, he's the number one host in late night right now. He's going to go out there and he's going to swing for the fences. And this audience was just kind of going along, going through the motions. And, they had their applause breaks and all that stuff, but that's what they had to deal with. But then we get to Kamala, and she's the only guest, obviously. You can't have her as the A guest for 20 minutes and follow up with a B guest for 10 or 15. She did an excellent job, and it was great to see her. Every politician be personable, and personable, and also do their campaign stunting that they're supposed to do, that we expect from them. And this is her coming off of The View. This is her coming off of Howard Stern. I think this was an excellent way for her to get to the masses. The View, I don't know the ratings on The View, and I don't know if people are going and exactly looking for that interview. I haven't seen it, but I did want to see her on Colbert, so I watched that entire episode. And she did a good job, and she cracked open a beer and she had a nice time. And I think Colbert, and again, this is like his strength, where he's able to talk to somebody politically and businessly, as well as be the entertainer he is, and that's what I really appreciate about him. So on the same front, Tim Walz appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Jimmy, he can do serious talks, and he doesn't need to do completely serious talks, but he made, like, he was great for Walz to have like a very interesting and fun conversation, and I really enjoyed their talk as well, and that was a good show too. And I don't hold on, I'm clicking through to Kimmel's page, YouTube page, and it was Tim Walz the only person? Yeah, it looks like Tim Walz was the only person. I watched that entire thing too, but I don't exactly remember everything that happens. I mean, Tim was great. Oh, no. Judd Apatow was on the show as well. Yeah, that's right. I feel like you should give, if you're going to have somebody like Tim Walz or Kamala Harris on, you should give them the full time. And now with that being said, I wonder if they also offered the same amount of time to J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, mostly because I know that's an FCC rule where you have to have, SNL had, I don't know, President Biden on for 8 minutes, they'd have to have Trump on for 8 minutes, or like whoever was running against him. I should have said Kamala Harris. But anyway, if you have them on for a certain amount of time, you have to have the other person on for a certain amount of time. I know that was a rule. I'm pretty sure it still is a rule. But there you go. I should talk about who else is on this week. Let's see. Well, let's go back to the Late Show. Quite frankly, again, I don't know. It's Colbert is strange. He had Chris Wallace on. I do like Chris Wallace. If you remember Chris Wallace, he was from Fox News. Then he defected and went to CNN. There was also at the top of the episode of the Kamala Harris episode, Colbert did a parody of 60 Minutes, which I thought was very funny. Do a parody, do funny stuff. You don't have to always be this have the same hackneyed things. Looking at you, John Oliver. Ina Garten was also on this week, which was great, and I like Ina Garten. She's a great personality. And then so Kimmel had Quinta Brunson on, Jessica Williams, Billy Crystal, people along those lines. Kristen Milioti appeared on Late Night, and she talked about her role in the Penguin show for HBO. But I was mostly there just for her. Jake Tapper was on with his daughter, and some other people who don't really matter. And there's also a new Ever Says What. Jordan Klepper was the host this week for The Daily Show, right after Jon Stewart. And I think Klepper's one of the best people to come out of that show. He also I noticed something this is very interesting in that Michael Costa was the only featured player on The Daily Show for an episode where he was in the monologue with Jordan, and then he also had a filmed piece, which I thought was very interesting. And then Hoda Kotb appeared on Fallon's Tonight Show to talk about leaving the Today Show, and Fallon also had people like Jordan Peele and Rachel Sennett on, and also a comedian, Mary Mack, who is the voice of one of the people on Solar Opposites. And Pharrell Williams is on too, and Nicholas Braun and Chris Pine. You had a great lineup this week, I gotta tell you. I didn't even know half these people were on. I should watch some of these interviews. But that gets me back to, let's go back to that monologue thing. I just think, I mentioned this before, for Seth Meyers, a lot. I feel this is what I've seen. It's, again, it goes back to the argument. Hey, Ariana Grande is hosting SNL and she's singing. She's not singing tomorrow, but she's hosting SNL and she's singing. I'm here because I'm an Ariana Grande fan. I don't necessarily like SNL. I'm just here because I'm an Ariana Grande fan. And the same thing can be extended to any other talk show. I'm just a fan of Madeline Klein. I believe she was on Tonight Show. I'm just a fan of Madeline Klein. I'm going to go and watch Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show and just laugh at anything that she says. But I'm not necessarily going to be a fan of comedy. And there are things that, and this happens all the time. It's been happening more recently, especially I would say just this season in television. I don't know if it's because in television and late night television. I don't know if it's because people are afraid of the election or they're tired of the election jokes. I don't know, but for Fallon, for Kimmel, for Fallon, for Seth Meyers, and for Stephen Colbert, I just see that people aren't laughing as hard as they used to. And like, you know, if you're there for a closer look for Seth Meyers' show, but what you get is Back in My Day or Amber Says What, dude, you're there for comedy, period. Just enjoy it. And I just feel like there aren't any comedy fans left to enjoy these shows. I don't know. It's because I was watching Tonight Show, one of the Tonight shows this week, and I was watching the monologue, and I was laughing my butt off. And, you know, this is me post-cycling or post-running, and I'm just stretching, and I'm waiting for the water to boil up for my coffee, you know, as the oven's on, I'm trying to cook, and I'm just like listening and watching and just raving and lamping at these, I don't know what that means, but like enjoying his monologue, and these people aren't. Like, and it feels like, you know, the only people really laughing are the ones who are the fans of Jon Stewart or John Oliver or, you know, Jimmy Kimmel. They're laughing like they've never heard a joke before. I don't know. This is just what I've noticed. There's no scientific method to it. Sorry, I just opened up Variety for the story I want to talk about. And I don't remember what website it was. I think it might be Deadline, but they did have a Big Brother spoiler up there, and I'm trying not to look at it. So it's not Variety. I'm scrolling through their stories. It's not Variety. Okay, anyway, Variety. Michael Schneider writes, Netflix orders John Mulaney live weekly talk show in 2025. Here on the heels of Everybody's in LA, something that literally a child could point out. John Mulaney, I was going to say John Oliver. John Mulaney gets his own show at Netflix, and it's a late night talk variety style show. I'm not going to say late night talk, but it's going to be a live weekly talk show with John Mulaney next year. It was revealed at the Bloomberg Screen Time event in Los Angeles from Chief Content Officer Bella Baharia. Everybody's in LA did well for them, and they're going to, I guess, do it again on a weekly basis. There were things about Everybody's in LA that really were. I'm going to say this right now. I'm not saying that show was perfect. I'm going to say that Everybody's in LA, watching it live, seeing it, or at least the next day after it aired, that show was spectacular for what it was in that moment in time. I don't know if I can go back and watch it right now, but that show was spectacular. There were things that were broken. There were things that worked. There were things that didn't work that worked. And I loved it. I loved that show. It was so funny. There was not a moment during that show where I was like, this is bad. Except maybe mixing, you know, like Jerry Seinfeld, who is a notorious prick, with regular people who he treated like crap. But this is a fantastic idea for Netflix to do a weekly show like this. They're probably going to commit to 10. Although, who is it? David Chang? Is it David Chang Netflix show? Is that what he is it David Chang goes a Netflix show? Dinner Time, yes. Dinner Time Live. It's a live weekly show that David Chang hosts, and he has like Rashida Jones and Randall Park, and he'll cook a dinner for them, and they'll have like a chat. I've never seen the show, and I've always been meaning to catch it live. However, that show has been on there's been multiple episodes, if I remember correctly. I think there's like at least 20 or so. But my thing is, there's 2 seasons, and they're still going. They just did a pumpkin spice episode 2 days ago. They're going to have another episodes until the end of October. They had 27 episodes from September 10th was the last the mainline episode, all the way up to earlier this year, January 25th, June 18th. Whoa. Oh, okay, I got it. January 25th was the first episode, and then September 10th was the last episode. So they did 27 episodes in that time. And so what I'm getting at, I'm wondering if Netflix can keep up a weekly show, because we know that the issue with Chelsea Handler's show and Joel McHale's Talk Soup style show, I don't remember what that was called, but we know that they did not stick with those, or Michelle Wolf's show and Hassan Minaj's show. They didn't stick with those shows for too long, but they seem to have. This is so sad, but I did comment on this to myself this morning as I was watching. What is it called? There's a Korean cooking show. I don't know what it's called. Chef's Table. This is wrong. I'm so stupid. Culinary Class Wars. There's a Korean show that puts out 2 episodes at a time on a weekly basis on Netflix. And I commented on this to myself while I was running on the treadmill, while Peloton was playing on my phone, on my iPad, and on my phone was the Culinary Class Wars. I went, man, Netflix is really like getting behind this. And they are, because they're putting out weekly shows. They're simulcasting anime. And a couple of years ago, they would have canceled these shows if they weren't performing well. Wasn't there a who's the girl on Sam and Cat? Not Sam and Kate. Sam and Cat. We have the same birthday. We're the same. Jeanette McCurdy. We're the same age. We have the same birthday. Isn't that interesting? And then also Ariana Grande is like a week after, or a couple of days. So we're all best friends. No big deal. Jeanette McCurdy and I are the same age. It's crazy. Any Hoosers. The thing is, though, Netflix is, Hulu, Max, Apple TV, all these other, Paramount Plus, Peacock, all these other platforms, while they have release shows on a weekly in the binge model of dropping everything at once, they have more or less gone with the weekly basis idea. And when Netflix did it, it did not succeed because people were so used to binging. But now that there's so many ways to watch things, and now that you also want to be able to have the conversation over and over and over again, as opposed to here's all Stranger Things is big for a month and then nothing. That says something, and so now Netflix is going with these weekly things, and this is just pure conjecture, but it's probably, bringing in steady numbers for them, as opposed to people who watch the first episode of of Emily in Paris season 4 part 1. They watch the first episode, and then by the time they get to episode 8, the numbers have dropped off. As opposed to, hey, Bad Monkey is dropping every Wednesday on Apple TV Plus, and we're doing a solid 7 million. That's a made-up number. We're doing a solid 2 million every single episode, as opposed to getting 10 million episode 1 and then 500,000 episode 10. Live is very important now. Like, sports are important. On Hulu, if you pay for ESPN Plus, I can watch golf. I can watch some college sports. I can watch a lot of great things that are live. On Prime, I can watch live football and eventually live basketball. On Peacock, it's soccer and wrestling and eventually live football. Live basketball, not live football. You can also do live football there too now. Apple TV Plus, live soccer, live baseball. Paramount Plus, live soccer, live football. College sports. Live is important. As much as these platforms want to pretend that everybody's there to watch Stranger Things or Wolves, starring Brad Pitt and George Clooney. You think I watched that day one? I sure as hell did. But Netflix it needs live as much as they need these pre-programmed things. Hot Ones is coming to Netflix. They had a hot dog eating contest. They had their own live golf event. They had their own live tennis events. They had boxing. Interesting. Comedy specials from Joe Rogan and Chris Rock. One of those I watched, and it wasn't that funny. Chris Rock. I would never watch Joe Rogan. So live is important, and they need to. And now they're understanding. Yes, people. We are still in a moment where people grew up with the broadcast model. Yes, there's a whole generation of kids that are after generation. What am I? Y? So there or X? I'm generation X. I don't know. Millennials. There's a whole generation after millennials who grew up with TV is on demand and you can watch it without commercials, and that's it. But what I feel, and this is how I watch TV, we as the human race is largely still not used to getting everything at once. Like in terms of television, like you shouldn't. I don't think TV is this is what I think. Obviously, I don't think TV is we should be watching TV everything, everywhere, all at once. It should just be a couple at a time. Like even binging, if you're gonna binge a whole thing, I think 4 episodes is enough. You don't need to watch everything all the time. But live is important because it creates conversation and it allows for people to continue to talk about Stranger Things. And that's what, I think Netflix is walking the line between the drop everything at once and the once a week model by doing those parts. Yes, it is a very scummy way of tricking their actors and producers and writers and everybody who works on the show into doing a full season, but not paying for 2 different seasons. Like, it's like season 4, part 1 and part 2. And season 4 is like 8 episodes and season 4, part 1 is 8 episodes and season 4, part 2 is 8 episodes. On regular television, that'd be a whole season, but on streaming, you can do part 1, part 3, and they can pay you as little as they need to. But it does allow for these platforms to continue to be a part of the conversation. Because again, if Emily in Paris drops all 10 or 16 or however many episodes at once, then that's it. Everyone's done talking about it in a week or 2 or 3, if you're lucky. I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. I have an interview coming up soon. The interview's done. Is releasing soon. I don't know which day. I have to think about it. If you like, also, if you want to see a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. It's too loud. Where you can see a video version of this, as well as a video version of the other podcasts, The Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News Podcast, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, C Plus Comedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. Bye.